Suresh sir, come in. Good evening, everyone. I now
Good evening.
request I now request Suresh sir to do the welcome address.
Yeah, good evening, friends. Welcome all my fellow Rotarians and the guests. And special welcome to our DGE, Nagendra Rotarian Nagendra Prasad, and also to Krishna Arjun, and today's speaker, Amith Nag. Friends, today's set is scenario lockout. We have the opportunity to connect the world through online. And Zoom app online is initiated by our DGE, Rotarian Nagendra Prasad. So, welcome to all Rotarians and guests. So, over to DGE Rotarian Nagendra Prasad, sir.
Nagendra Prasad sir, please come in. Just check if he is. Yeah, he's there.
My dear beloved friends in Rotary, very pleasant evening and vanakkam. On behalf of our Governor Muthupalli,
Oh,
I one and
I
all
think it's
for
part
the
of one more
students
meeting.
Series 3. Now we have a very important speaker, the name of the Rotarian Deepak Kapoor.
Nagendra Prasad sir.
All the, in the Bolli affairs, he talks, he's a very enlightened speaker. Thank you.
Okay, Nagendra Prasad sir will come in. We have Amith Nag with us. Nagendra Prasad sir.
Hello, Suresh.
Yes.
Sir, good evening. Please.
Hello.
Oh, you can
Yes sir, we are able to hear you.
Yeah. Suresh, good evening.
good evening, sir. So, I've done my welcome speech. This is so you can go ahead first. Nagendra, sir.
Nagendra Prasad sir, are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Can you start off the program now? I'm just listening. Yeah.
Yes sir. So we're done with the welcome address from Suresh sir.
Yeah, you can carry on. No
All
problem.
right.
Introduce the guest and start the program.
Sure. Thank you sir.
I'll be there.
Okay. So, introducing my photography friend Amith. Amith works as a techie in Infosys, Bangalore, and he's a brilliant photographer from what I've observed. I first met him in the backwaters of Sharavati on a very unique experience. And I was seeing them do landscape photography and very creative photography, which was really inspiring. And he specializes in landscapes, street, stage, nature, macros, still life, and travel photography. And he does freelance photography or hobby photography. He travels around and observes people and life. His work has been published in Nat Geo Traveler, Better Photography, The Caravan, Quality German Edition, Smart Photography, Times of India, Deccan Herald, The Hindu, etc. One of his photos is archived in Musée Crozatier. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. A 150-year-old museum in the French Auvergne, southern France. His work has been featured on hoardings, ads, walls of various places like National Law School, ISKCON, Citrus Hotels, Namma Metro Station, TGI Hotel, etc. He's also voted as one of the top 20 most popular photographers of Bangalore by Bangalore.in. So, Amit, I know all the stories that you have lined up for us are extremely exciting, and we're all ready to learn from your stories and your experience. Over to you, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Krishnarjan, and hi, everybody. So, thanks for that quick intro about myself. Just to add on top of it, I hope I'm audible to everyone, right? Krishnarjan, am I audible?
Yes, Amit, you're audible.
All right. Okay. So I work with Infosys, and photography is a hobby for me. 5 days of a week, I work with the company. I have my office work, and weekends are when I get my time to go and do photography. Photography for me is also a way to unwind myself. So it's a passion, it's a hobby, it's my way of doing something different other than what generally people do at home on weekends. So I've been shooting for almost 10 years now, and I have stayed away from doing commercial stuff like weddings and portraits and things like that. So I like to do a lot of nature photography, stage events, street photography, macros, things like that. Something that keeps me interested, and I can shoot those under my own schedule. I don't have to depend on schedules from someone else. Yeah, by God's grace, my photos have been appreciated by a lot of people. It has some of them have been published in hoardings, magazines, and things like that. And I am not very sure how many people in this session are hardcore photographers. So there might be people who are much more experienced than me. So if I do something wrong or if I say something wrong, please correct me. I may not actually be always correct. Um, Generally, when people invite a photographer for sessions, it's either an introduction to photography or they just get on an interactive session asking how the person got into photography, how they do things, and all that stuff. So, with Krishnarjan, we thought let's try to do something slightly different, which will also keep things interesting. So I chose 15 of my photographs. All of these have a slightly interesting story behind them. So I'm sure a lot of people like to hear the stories, and I'm hoping that some of these stories will be interesting. And also at the same time, these might be scenarios where when you go out to shoot and encounter certain situations, then you might know how this can be handled or what good can come from a situation like that. So I won't waste much time. I'll be sharing a presentation which will have the photo, and I will talk about that on the. All right. So I will start off with the pretty much the first photo itself. Okay. This is since today's World Earth Day, I thought it'll be nice that we start off with a nature photograph. Um, so this unfortunately does not have like a very interesting story behind it. But the reason I wanted to show you guys this photograph is that you would notice on the right side of the photograph, the sun does not look like the regular sun. So it has all those long trails on the right side. So this is something that we call as a starburst or the sunburst. And this happens when you use a very, very narrow aperture, like a f22. Unfortunately, it may not be very easy to click this using a mobile phone. But with an SLR, if you are shooting, then you have to set the settings at f22 and you get something like this. The the star-shaped starburst starts appearing when you have a very narrow aperture. So the story behind this is a place called as Dandiganahalli Dam. It is near Chikbadapur, probably around 80-90 kilometers from Bangalore. So it's a good 2.5 hour drive from Bangalore. So with so much of urbanization happening and nature being lost, every literally the last clean space of earth has been taken over by humans. It is so difficult to get hold of a place which has a very nice clean atmosphere, air. The air is pristine. There are not too many people, and you are at peace with yourself. So for getting such shots, one thing is you need to do a lot of research. You need to understand where these places are, how safe it is to go to them early in the morning. Second thing is, if you notice, the sun is just at the horizon. So for getting a shot like this, you need to have the sun half outside the frame, half behind the horizon. That is when you start seeing the star burst. So it is also a matter of timing. You need to have set up your equipment, be ready, anticipate the sunrise timing, and then the sun starts peeking out, and then you get a shot like this. So the story behind this is like we have to wake up at like say 4:30, drive in the dark roads, probably have Google Maps on the way. Make sure you arrive on time, set up your equipment, and then when the sun comes out, it is absolute magic. And of course, when it goes up, it is business as usual. So just plan in advance, do a lot of research, do a lot of blog reading. So a lot of people who go for such places, they put their information on the internet. So it is not tough to find such beautiful places very close to Bangalore also. It makes up for a nice half day trip in the morning. You can get birds after some time. The villages around by serve a really nice breakfast. So if you're a foodie, you get to eat some really good food also. So overall, for a photographer, this is something that is nice to do. All right. Okay. So this is the second photograph. So this is the structure on the top right. If you're an Bangalorean or you're a cricket fan, you would realize that it is the Chinnaswamy Stadium. And I have shot this from the terrace of Vishwesvaraya Towers. If you're in Bangalore or in this area, you would know it's one of the tallest structures at that place. Now, the whole of Vishwesvaraya Towers is a government building. It has a lot of government offices. And the top two floors are occupied by the police department. There is the fire police department and the police department. It is not a place where regular people can go, and you really cannot go to the terrace at all unless you have permission. So I am a Bangalorean. I have seen this, place for a very long time. Always wondered how it will be if I go to the terrace of the building and what kind of a shot I would get of the stadium and probably the traffic below that. I used to go there. I have a lot of times gone into Ishweshwara Towers itself, asking them, is there a chance that I can be allowed to the terrace from where I can shoot this photo? But I can understand they probably won't have, the permission to allow a random person to go to the terrace. And if I go there without my bag, they might even ask me, why do you want to go to the terrace? They look at me, with some sort of suspicion that I'm going to jump off from the building or something like that. So finally, I started asking people around. I'm not very well connected, so I had to literally ask other photographers, do they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who can allow me to get a chance to go to the top. So after 3 4 years of searching, I finally got hold of somebody who knew the police, superintendent or somebody in charge in this area. So he got me through. I went and requested. I said, I just want like 15 minutes to go to the terrace. I'll just shoot one photograph and come back. And I had timed it. It was a day when a IPL RCB match was going on. So there was a lot of traffic. The stadium was lit. I went there at around 6:30 in the morning, in the evening, sorry. The lights came on and I got the shot. And this is a very special shot for me because this has been featured on billboards across Bangalore as part of one of the mobile networks, Vodafone Idea mobile networks. And I haven't seen a similar photograph clicked by somebody else, so that makes it all the more special. So the story behind this is, if you feel that you have a shot, you may not get it right away. You need to be very perseverant. Try to figure out what can get you to go to the photograph, get the photograph done. So just don't give up just because it may not be possible in the first attempt. All right. Okay. So the third one, I'm sure everybody knows, this is the Mysore Palace. But you may also notice that this is not a very common angle of the Mysore Palace. So me and a few of my friends were in Mysore. This is during Dasara time. There was function going on, and we were very tired of seeing the same old photos of Mysore Palace. We wanted to shoot something different. So we started going around the place, going to the top of buildings, asking people if we can get a different shot. Then we saw a mosque, which is very close to the palace. So we went inside. For all of us, it was the first time that we were entering a mosque. So we didn't know like who would be in charge and whether they'll be okay for us to go and shoot it and things like that. So we went inside. Luckily, the prayers had just got over, and the imam, the main person of the mosque, he was free. So we said, like, can we please go to your terrace and do the shoot? And he was very nice. He said, you guys are shooting our palace. We should be helping you. But then he suggested the terrace is hardly floors high. You may not get a very good shot. So why don't you climb the tower where they have this loudspeakers, the tallest tower? It was a good 7 or 8 floors tall. He said the only problem is that the insides are not very clean, and the steps are not very good. So if you can take a risk and go to the top, you are free to go. And he even sent a kid with us to take us to the top. So we were really happy. We went with the kid. It was not an easy climb carrying those heavy bags, tripods, and all that. But finally, after 15 20 minutes, we climbed it, and then we got this amazing view of the Mysore Palace. So, so It's always that, when you see a famous monument, a lot of people would have shot the same thing from the same angle. So as a photographer, it is very important that you try to shoot it from a different angle. It gives you that satisfaction, and a lot of people will appreciate something like this. So search for unique vantage points, how different you can shoot the same thing. And believe me, when you get such a unique vantage point, you will be appreciated a lot. You will also feel a lot of happiness. All right. Going on to the next one. This is Vadavi Linga. It is in Hampe. It is right next to the Ugra Narasimha statue. So this is one of the few Vijayanagara elements which are like kind of very pristine. It has not been destroyed. I believe this is probably around 12 to 14 feet high lingam. So the person over there in the photo, his name is Mr. Krishna Bhatt. He is probably around 86 years old. He comes exactly at 1 o'clock every day afternoon. He cleans the lingam with the water. The water at the bottom is around 1 feet high or something. So he wades in the water. He climbs. He removes the flowers from the previous day. Then he would have brought his own flowers. He puts it on the lingam. At around 1:15 or something, he closes the gates and he goes away. And then we have to wait for the next 24 hours to see him again. A lot of you might have already seen this person, photos of this person on social media. But the thing here is that I myself had seen the photo, but I didn't know how to be there at a time when this person comes there. So I started asking a lot of photographers, like, when did you meet this person? Like, what is the timing when he comes over? Is he there for the whole day? And finally, I got the information that he comes exactly at 1 o'clock. And when I went to Hampi the next time, I made sure that I was there at 1 o'clock. He came on the dot. He finished all his duties and he left at 1:15. So the story behind this is that do a lot of research when you go and shoot something. So just don't go into a location to do a shoot. It is very important to understand your subject, the location, the timings, lighting, what permissions you have to actually shoot the photo. Do all this research and then gather it from wherever possible and then go for the shoot, and you will be rewarded with some of the best photos. All right. The next one, this is Murdeshwar. Uh, this is um, this is another unique angle which probably many people may not have seen. So most of the photos from Murdeshwar are shot either very close to the Shiva statue or from the topmost floor of the left side Gopuram. So I am a avid drone photographer. I have a small drone which I take everywhere and I try to fly it and get some unique angles. But since this is a very crowded area, we wanted to make sure that we take permission before we fly the drones. So we first went to the temple authorities, but they were not ready to give us permission. They said like, this too crowded and you fly a drone, it falls on somebody, it's going to be a problem. So we will not allow you to do it. Then we thought like, let's try to shoot the whole place from outside of the temple. We went to the local police station and we spoke with the superintendent of police over there, a sub inspector, that we want to take a couple of photos from the air of this temple and the Gopuram. So he also was not happy with doing this because recently a foreign traveler had come with his drone and the drone had fallen down on somebody's head, and there was a bit of a problem. So he didn't want to like give permission for us to fly our drone. So we were there and we really want to do something different, but we didn't have the option of flying the drone, and we were bored of doing the same kind of photos. So we went to this RNS hotels, which is right next to the statue. We went to the reception. We asked the person over there, "Is it possible that you can allow us to go to your terrace? We will just shoot there in the evening for half an hour, and then we'll come back." So we were like 101% sure they would not agree because again it's a private building. They may not agree for such things, but luckily, the person said, it's okay, you guys can go to the terrace. So we went to the terrace, we went on to a ledge and we waited there. It was a beautiful evening. We got really nice light when the sunset was happening, and we got this photo. So again, this was something unique. So the story behind this is that if somebody is not allowing you to shoot something, some of your favorite place, something like that, just don't give up and walk away from there. You don't have to argue with the person, but there might be another way of getting it done. So don't give up. Just always keep trying till you get the shot that you want. All right. This is Oran. This has been shot from Oran Mall. This is the World Trade Center on the left side and the apartment on the right side, the Brigade Gateway apartment. So I call this Explore New Avenues.
One second, Amit. I'll just
Yeah.
check.
ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡಿಯಪ್ಪ.
Ah, sir.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡಿ ನೀವೇ.
Yeah, Amit, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So I call this explore new avenues or first come first serve. So this was shot when Oran Mall had just opened. In fact, Oran Mall is not even seen in this photo. I am shooting it from the mall itself. It had just opened. It was not even inaugurated to the public. So this was a time when everybody was just going there to have a look at this new apartment which was going to be coming up. None of the shops were open and it was free entry. So I had my camera with me. I went there and I was looking around the mall. It was there was nothing, so there was nothing to do much. And then from a certain angle, I saw that this was a very nice photo. I could see the World Trade Center and the gateway. I don't think even the World Trade Center had any companies. The upper half was totally empty. Amazon and other people had not moved in. So I took this photo, I put this on Facebook, and it became an instant viral. It became such a big viral that the Oran Mall people themselves messaged me and they said they got a lot of reachability with the youth because of this particular photo. They invited me for the inauguration ceremony. They gave me a lot of vouchers, and I actually got to do a few shoots for them officially after this. So the story behind this is that there are new things happening all around. So don't wait for others to go and look at it and shoot it and then come back. So if you know that something new is happening, it's always nice to be one of the first persons to go there, get that first shot of the place, that is first come first serve, and that your photo starts becoming unique, and it'll set the trend for other people to start following. So Bangalore being a urban town, there are a lot of places that you can visit, new places which are coming up, and they will have something unique. It could be apartment, it could be new, a park that is coming up, a new government building. Try to see if you can go and shoot that, or from there, you'll be a new angle, and you'll really get something fantastic from those places. All right. This is titled Unique Ways of Researching. So what you see in the photo, it is a barrage on Kaveri River. So this is just before the Shivana Samudra or the Bluff Falls. So to the top right is where the actual falls are. The story behind this is that I had seen a similar photo by a person on social media, and I asked him like I would like to know the location because this looks very unique, and I want to shoot this. By the way, this is a drone photo. So the person kind of refused. He said, "Do your own research. Why do you want me to spoon feed you the whole location?" So I felt bad, but one thing I got from some of his comments was that this is on the river Kaveri. And what you see on the right side is the Madhyama Ranga. It's that part of the trilogy, Srirangpatna Madhyama Ranga, and the one in Tamil Nadu. I forgot the name. So what I did was I went to Google Earth. I started from Talkaveri. Okay, I started following the trajectory of the river Kaveri. I took me probably an hour, hour and a half, and finally I arrived at this place, Shivana Samudra. That's when I spotted the structure. So if you don't have information about a particular place that you know about, you can do a lot of unique ways researching if people are not there to provide you the information. Google Maps is a wonderful way of discovering new places. I myself have discovered a lot of places like Harobile Dam and other things, which were probably not available, easily on the internet to look for places. So keep a lookout, look for unique places when you're doing research, or when you go on other trips, look for different places nearby which could be interesting, and then it will provide you with a new location to go and shoot. So do unique ways of doing this. Researching is having different options is a unique way of doing it. Google Maps. All right. So this one, this is the Tipkonhalli Reservoir. You can see the dam on the top right. So the temple in the center is the Sangameshwara temple. So when the dam was built, there was a village here apparently which became submerged. I'm sure the people moved out. So this temple was probably on the top of a small hillock, and this temple also got submerged with the water. So recently, with the receding water levels, this temple has become visible again. There is no god; the idol has been moved elsewhere. So just the structure is there. Now the problem is nobody can reach this place because there is no boating allowed. It is reservoir. It does not have commercial activities, and there are a few fishermen who use coracles, and they don't take you to this temple. So This is a classic example where for getting a certain photo, you need to have the right gear. Okay, so you can stand on the banks and you can get a very regular shot of the temple in the middle of the water. You cannot really make out that this temple is like an island. It's like a floating temple unless you go in the air. So I got hold of a drone and then I flew the drone and I got this unique angle. And you can even see that there was a bird below me. So I literally got the bird's eye view of this place. So this is a very classic example where sometimes, unfortunately, to be saying this, it is the gear that makes a difference rather than the photographer or your learnings and things like that. So you might, if there are a few places where a particular gear is needed, then you might have to kind of get hold of the gear to get hold, get the right photo. And just a word of advice, if you are flying a drone or you're a drone enthusiast, and if you're already one, you might already know, stay away from the birds because birds are very curious about drones. They try to approach the drones. That is what the kite in the photo was actually doing. It was trying to encircle my drone and it was a little curious. The problem is if a drone hits the bird can get physically injured because of the propellers, and your drone will lose control and it will fall down from the height. So you'll lose your drone. So whenever I see a bird flying near my drone, I just call it back. I don't even want to take the risk. All right. This is a pretty funny story where I almost got lynched by a mob of 100 people. So this happened around 4 to 5 years back. We had gone to this village which is close to Kolar. It's around 70 kilometers from Bangalore. We reached the village at around 12 o'clock. We knew that the surroundings of the village is really, really dark, and we wanted to do an astro shoot. So we wanted to shoot the Milky Way, which is what you see in the photo. So just on the outskirts of the village, there was a narrow road, and we had come by car. So we got onto the road. We set up our tripods. We located where the Milky Way is coming, and we started shooting. So one of our friends who had come, he had bought his car newly and he wanted his car to be in the frame too. So he parked the car in the middle of the road, across the road. So his idea was to have the car in the frame and then the Milky Way behind it. Everything was fine. We were shooting, we were getting some nice photos, we were chit chatting and things like that. And probably at around 1:30 or something, we saw a person coming from the other side on a two-wheeler, and he stopped around 100 meters from us, and we realized that probably he thought that we had blocked the road or something, and we told him in Kannada that you can come over, there is no problem. The minute we opened our mouth, that guy got afraid. He turned his bike in the first gear, he just went back. So we started laughing. We thought like, oh, maybe he thought we were thieves or something, and we just forgot and we started we continued clicking our photos. And probably around 45 minutes, an hour later, we saw over 100 people, probably on around 50 bikes or something, come towards us with lathis and iron rods in their hands. So we realized what was happening. Luckily, none of us lost our cool. The minute they came to us from their lights, they saw that we actually had tripods, we had a camera, and the thing blocking the road was actually a car. So a couple of people in front got down and they asked us what we were doing. And we said, we are photographers, this is our tripod, this is our camera. We just parked the car and we're shooting. And all 100 of them started laughing really loud. So apparently the person who went back thought that we were highway robbers. We had blocked the road to, catch hold of somebody who was coming on the road. And when we called out to him, he thought like we were trying to attack him. And he went and woke up the entire village, and all the guys in the village came to lynch us. We were just lucky that they didn't lynch us and then talk to us. They thought it was best to talk to us and then probably lynch us or something. So astrophotography is a very tricky thing. You have to go in the night to very lonely areas where nobody is there because you don't want any light to be there. So you have to be very careful, do a lot of research, get to know who are the people close by, if possible, even tell them that you are doing the shoots so that you can be safe a little later. And another problem is wild animals in those areas. So always go in a group and make sure that you stay safe. Your health, your life, and your now equipment is more important than getting the photo. So this is a interesting story that I had behind this particular photo. All right, we are almost coming to the end of this session. So I call this "Don't Be a Hero." So this is Johnson Market. It's at the edge of Hosur Road, very close to Bangalore Brigade Road. This is predominantly a meat market, and there is a bit of a vegetable market also. So this was a time when I was doing a lot of street photography, and I wanted to shoot the meat market and the vegetable market. So went inside and I started clicking photos. Everybody was fine. One particular guy in the corner, he shouted it to me and said, "Don't shoot me." And I said, "Okay, I'm not shooting you. I'm just shooting the others." And I basically wanted to shoot the roof because it was a very interesting roof and things like that. So we did our shoot and we exited from the side door, and then we were just reviewing our photos, me and my friends, and suddenly we heard somebody shouting. We looked at the side, and the guy who had initially told us not to shoot, he was running towards us with a butcher knife, and he just basically wanted to threaten us. Then we said, "Oh, cool down, what are you doing?" and all that. Then he said, "I told you not to click my photos, and why have you clicked it?" I don't know what he thought. Then we actually showed him all our cameras. We said, like, "See, we haven't shot you. Were only shooting the other places and the other people in the market." And he made us delete all our photos. I was lucky that I got one photo here which I could not delete. So basic idea is, if you see people who are not liking that you are shooting them or that area, either just walk away from there or get the permission from there before you're shooting. If at all there is going to be some trouble, it is better to not argue with those people, just walk away. There is always another time for you to go and do the same shoot later. For you, your life and your health and your gear is more important. So don't be a hero, just walk away if you think that there's going to be trouble. A photo is really not worth getting into trouble. All right. This is, I call this as get creative, even absurd. So what you see here is that purple stuff on the ground. It is actually a paddy field. So a paddy field obviously is green. So I have applied something called as an IR filter, infrared filter. So when you apply IR filter, the greens become reddish magenta, the blues become yellowish. Okay, it is just another fun way of shooting landscapes. So what I did here is I took a regular paddy field photo, and then I applied IR filter only for the paddy fields, and the trees I didn't apply filter. It was a Photoshop technique. And I thought it was just fun. Obviously I told everybody when I posted it on the internet and on social media that this is a paddy field, I've applied a IR filter. And I really thought nobody would even care about this. They would feel that it's a stupid thing to do. And I actually got a lot of people saying that this is just Photoshop, it's nothing great, what have you done and all that stuff, which was fair enough. But I got to know that this photo was actually quite interesting to people who are outside of Karnataka or outside of India. It actually became so popular that this was downloaded by Dell computers, and they used this as their wallpaper for a new monitor that they had launched. So this is a part of an ad. So sometimes it is okay to do something funny, absurd. Don't think about what people will say. If it makes you happy, if you feel that you applied your creative juices to it, don't think about the consequences. Don't be afraid of what people on social media or probably your friends and other people will say. If you feel you can do something unique, go ahead and do that. Don't think too much about it. Who knows, what you do might be something really unique, and it will find appreciation in different way. It's like the movies, like art movies, right? Something that was shot maybe in the 80s which nobody watched, today they are cult classics. So similarly, what you think is not really nice right now or nobody cares about it, who knows, somewhere down the line a few years later somebody might find it very, very interesting. It might actually become a fashion to do or edit a photo in a particular way or even shoot a particular photo in a particular way. So don't think what you're doing is absurd. You can be creative, just break the rules, try to do something different. All right, this is a penultimate photo. So I call this Jugad. So me and a couple of my friends had gone for birding. So this is very close to Rangantittu. It is near Srirangpatnam, on the bank of Kaveri River. So we were looking for a bird called as a blue-tailed bee eater. It is a bird that is very common to this area. As you can see, it is a very open area. It is on the banks of the river. There are not many trees. So typically, bird photographers get something called as a hide, HIDE hide. It is like a tent. They sit inside the tent and they shoot the birds. So the birds, after a point of time, they forget that it's a human tent. They think it's a rock or something because they're colorblind, and they will be okay to kind of wander around their hide, and that is when the photographers get those amazing photographs. Now we were amateurs, we just went there, we realized that the birds were not obviously when the birds were spotting us, they were flying away and we were not able to get good photos, and obviously we didn't have a hide either. So what we did was we went to the nearby village. We got some onion sacks. So the thing that the person is wearing is a empty onion sack. We came back. We applied the sack on top of us. We sat there for half an hour, and then somehow the birds thought that probably we were rocks or something, and we started seeing the birds coming closer to us. And then we got a couple of good photos. I was speaking with Krishnajin about this. Unfortunately, I didn't get even a single good photo, but a couple of my friends who are there in this frame, they got some amazing photos. So the story behind this is there is always scope to do some jugaad. You might not have a tripod. You can make use of your camera bag. You may not have the best possible lens, a wide angle lens. You can shoot in panorama and stitch it later. Okay. So you might even take help from Photoshop to convert a very bright sky into a colorful sky, things like that. So always have different techniques. If you don't have something, it doesn't mean that you cannot do your photo shoot. There might be some jugaad method for you to get the same photo. So just a tip, information about this place. So the problem with this place was that the birds used to lay their eggs in the ground, and the villagers, when they were going, to the river to fetch water or wash clothes, they were trampling on the birds' nests and the eggs. It is causing a lot of damage. So Mr. Anil Kumble, our Jumbo, the cricket player, he took this area under his conservation idea, and he got a metal fence erected all around this area. So the last time I went there, we could not even go inside, but we saw that the birds were there plenty inside the area. So thanks a lot to Mr. Anil Kumble that he did something like this. We didn't mind that we could not get the right photos, but we were happy that the birds were safer than before. All right, so this is my last photo, and some of you might know this is a event that happens around Mandya. It is called as Kich Hai Sudu Kichu. It happens on Shankranti Day. So the villagers, they deck up their bulls, sometimes even cows. They love them like their children, and then in the evening around sunset, they bring them to a particular place in the village. They set haystacks on fire, and then the bulls are made to jump over the fire. So the whole jump will probably be a matter of 5 to 6 seconds. So the person with the bull also jumps, and then once it's done, the fire is over and the event is over. The reason why I chose to put this in the slide deck is that when I put this photo on social media, a lot of people who did not know what this event was, they started blasting me saying this is animal cruelty, how can you shoot something like this, this event should be banned, call PETA and all that stuff. Fair enough, I'm not saying that they were wrong. The problem was that they did not understand the story behind Kichu or the reason why it is done. So we spoke with the villagers. So the villagers told us that the reason this is done is twofold. One, in the winter, the bulls have ticks and mites that stick to their hooves and the lower part of their bodies, and it's very painful. So when the bull passes through fire, the ticks and mites get singed and burnt, and it cleans their underbelly because it's not that they can give a bath every time. Second thing is, in the older days, the sheds where the cows and bulls were stored, they were kind of made with inflammable material, like old coconut leaves and hay was there and other things. So if there was fire, even though the person could have probably removed the bulls and cows to safety, the animals would probably get agitated and panicked, and because of that panic, they actually would cause bigger problems, and the fire would do more damage. So by doing this, the bulls also get used to fire, and they may not actually panic in the bad scenario that their sheds actually catches fire. So the thought behind this is fine, and I saw that none of the bulls were harmed. There was absolutely no damage, but you have to choose your audience and gauge your audience, because not everybody understands what was the purpose of the event or you shooting a particular photo. So we have seen that on social media there's a lot of negativity. People don't think, they just want to come and say bad things, scold you and things like that. So as a photographer, you have to be ready for it. Don't lose your patience. Don't try to argue with them, because it's like fighting with pigs. The pigs will enjoy, but you only end up getting dirty. So it sometimes it is okay to take a step back, probably even not react or anything, but make your point clear. Try to tell them what the information is or the event is all about. Even after that, if people are ready to understand or talk to you, or still they want to continue saying bad things, it's okay. You are not the person who was doing this. You are only a messenger taking photo of a particular event. So you can probably just ignore such people. So be careful about your audience. Don't lose your cool. All right. So that's the end of my session. And thank you very much. I know all of you have spent the last half an hour listening only to me. And this is some of my information. I'm available on Facebook, Instagram, and 500 pics, AMITHNAG. And you can check out my works. These are really not my best photographs. These are photographs which had some unique stories behind them. And I want to share it with them so that in case you end up in a similar situation, you know what to do. um, I have a lot of other photographs which I hope will be of interest to all of you. So please have a look at my pages, and you have any queries or something like that, you can tell me about that.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks a lot. The stories were really inspiring, and these were a very good set of pictures indeed. I'm pretty sure everyone's looking forward to seeing your other work. We have a couple of questions from the audience. So, Shruti Partsarthi asks, is there a particular reason that you are inclined towards drone or aerial photography?
Yeah, thank you. I was hoping somebody would ask that question. So I have dabbled in a lot of genres of photography. I started with street. I went on to shoot events, dance events. I love shooting classical dance events. Now I'm doing a lot of drone photography, which is landscape technically. So before I got a drone, I was doing a lot of landscape photography. I used to go to a lot of places similar to some of the photos which I've shown here. I realized that after a point, my photos were getting repetitive. I was trying my best, but still it was the same sunrise, same sunset, same colors. There was no difference. So as a photographer, especially as somebody who wants to be creative, you cannot get into a rut. You cannot be producing the same type of images again and again. You need to think outside the box. You need to get creative, think of how to do things differently. So 3 years back, one of my friends bought a drone, and I went along with him. And when we were flying, I was looking at what he was shooting, and I was blown away by the bird's eye view of the landscapes. So even a simple road, even a simple rivulet or a river, which you probably would not even imagine or even look at for a second time, when you go to the top, when you're having the bird's eye view, it looks really amazing. A typical example is that the Kaveri River one, which I told you, the designer one. I was standing next to it and I could not make out. It was just like making that was something. It is just like water falling. It's probably a couple of feet high. That's it. Doesn't look all that interesting from the ground. But when you go on the top, you started seeing those geometric shapes. It looks really unique. So I think drone photography has opened this all new, totally new genre of photography, which really makes even the ordinary things look really extraordinary. When I started shooting with drones, I started realizing that I could get a lot more creative with my landscape photographies. People started appreciating it a lot more, and I'm really happy that I moved on to the genre. So I really love doing it now, and I hope other people can also start shooting photos with the drone.
Thanks, Amit. So we have Manjula S who asks, do you have a dream destination you wish to travel for photography?
Hi, that I have been around India. I mean, I think India and for that matter, Karnataka offers some of the best possible places to shoot. There are a lot of places in Karnataka which are probably unexplored from a photography perspective. I also have got a chance to travel to a few countries around the world, shoot it. But for me, the dream destination will probably always be either Iceland, where I want to shoot the northern lights, or I want to go to Italy and shoot some of the churches and the medieval castles over there. So that is my dream destination.
All right. So one question from my side.
Yeah.
When did you realize that you were good at photography?
I am still not. I'm not being humble. It's just that every year when I see my last year's photographs, I feel like they're really bad, and then I'm happy with my photographs of this particular year, and the next year again I feel that's bad. I personally believe that a photographer should never be satisfied with what he's doing, because the minute you're satisfied, you get into a comfort zone, and there is no scope for you to improve further. So when I say that if I want to really think that I'm a good photographer, I believe that when my photos start getting published in magazines or on billboards, there is a certain level of success that you might have done, but you should not allow it to go to your head. So I would always like to call myself a learner. There always, I'm just a drop in the ocean. What I know, there are so many things to know, and I don't think there is. It's ever right for somebody to say that he's a good photographer. Frankly speaking.
Okay, that was really modest. So we have one question on the lighter note. Shruti Partsati asks if someone wants to work with you, can they do that by being an intern? Are you accepting interns as of now?
Okay, to be fair, like I said, photography is just a weekend hobby. So it has always been that I do some research on weekdays. We pick a place to go or we pick a event that's happening in Bangalore. Having said that, there are a lot of people who ping me and say that the next time you go for a shoot, please invite me. And I'm happy. I always like to hang out with more people. Photography is a way for me to make friends also. So I always invite people who have been pinging me and saying and say like, we are going for this particular shoot. If you want to come along, please come along. And I'm not going to guarantee that I can like teach them a lot of things, but probably by hanging around with me and my friends, they can probably learn a few things. So internship probably is for me. Internship for a hobby photographer is just hanging around with photographers, learning what they do, trying to replicate the same photos, and it's like on the job kind of a learning. Yes, if you are interested, please ping me, and next time when I go for a shoot, I will surely invite you, and I hope that you can learn a few things.
Yeah, yeah, we're all waiting for COVID to
Yeah,
roll over so that we can really go out and take some pictures. All
true,
right,
true.
so we have one question from Mallikarjuna Durga Ramarao. Again, on the drone bit, he wants to understand about the restrictions imposed by police department on drone photography.
Okay, yes. So, flying drones, to be fair, is a very gray area. There have been instances where we have actually taken permission from the local police person and we have flown the drone. And there have been places where even talking about a drone is a taboo. So, it is best not to fly a drone inside cities because one is cities are heavily crowded. You don't know what kind of privacy laws you might be encountering or violating, and also there is a security concern. I mean, all the cities, what kind of dangers we face from unwanted people. So flying a drone is always something that you have a free hand. You can see things from the top. You can enter places which other people cannot enter. So it is not advisable to kind of just take a drone, go around and start flying. Either ask permission from the local police, or if it is a private area, for example, if it's a mall or something, take proper permissions. If they're okay, only then fly a drone. So that is what I do when I go around the city and I want to shoot something within the city. I never just fly my drone on its own. But when I go for outside, when it's a landscape or something like that, there are no people around. I just want to try out my drone and see beautiful nature, like I mentioned, rivulets or things like that. I also make sure that in case there is somebody close by, I take their permission. But most of the times, if it's an empty area or I go early in the morning, if there is nobody over there, I just fly the drone, I get a couple of shots, I pack it up and I come back. So it is always good to take permission from the local authorities and fly the drones. And if they say no, then that's it. It's okay. You can always shoot with your SLR on the ground.
Perfect. So we have last two questions.
Yeah.
One is from uh, yeah, Shruti again. Shruti asks about the editing bit of photography. How much do you believe in editing of photographs?
Okay. So I always believe, I mean, I get this question a lot. It is a very debatable topic. There are a lot of purists, people who believe that what comes out of your camera is like the best photo. You should not be editing it too much. And there are a lot of people who bring in some amazing things. So you saw the lavender fields thing where, I did a lot of editing and I got the green color and the lavender at the same time. Now, I believe that, if something is looking good, why not make it look better? Okay. So, when we go out, we dress up, we like, comb our hair or something like that. So, similarly, a photograph that comes out of the camera probably is good. But if there is an option to make it slightly better using Photoshop or editing techniques, why not do it? Just to take an example from real life, the top two grossing movies in the world today are Avatar and Avengers. And I think both the movies are 90% CGI. So it is not like real actors who are enacting. It's completely computer graphics, which is exactly like Photoshop editing. And it's popular because people don't really bother whether it was shot with real sets and things like that. They only enjoy the photo. So as long as the photos that you're shooting, people are liking it, a certain amount of editing is fine. If you make your photos unrealistic, like what I did with my lavender fields photo, you should have the guts to tell people that it is an edited photo, it is not the real photo. Don't try to hide that fact. It's okay, editing is editing. And if you feel that somebody should not be editing, that's okay. It's a call that a person has to take. So no set rules.
Final question from one of the avid photographers and wildlife enthusiasts, Sanjay Krishna sir. He
Right.
asks, according to you, which is the most challenging type of photography? Wildlife, landscape, astro? Which one and why?
For me, it is classical dance events. Okay. So if you guys have attended classical dance events, they're very small, crowded areas. You literally cannot move around. There's very minimal light on the stage, and the dancers are moving really fast. And when a person is doing classical dance, there are certain mudras or actions that they do which looks perfect. So they probably hold that pose probably for a split second. So for you to be a photographer shooting in low light, literally shooting at ISO 1600, ISO 3200, etc. or above, a shutter speed of probably 1 by 200, 1 by 250 seconds. You have to constantly look at the dancer, understand when they're going to come up with the perfect pose and click it. And I have found it to be one of the toughest genres. And because it's all about art, you're shooting art, you're not creating art. So there is already an artist on stage, and it is your responsibility to make sure that the artist looks at their best when they're giving their best poses. So it's all a matter of timing. It's a matter of low lights, a matter of fast moving subjects, and in a crowded conditions where you have to hold the camera in your hands, you probably cannot use a tripod. So personally, for me, shooting live events in dark light is the toughest journey.
Right. 1 second. Okay. Sanjay sir says a very convincing answer.
Okay,
So
thank you,
thank you for answering
thank
that.
you.
All right. So from Rotary, we have a fellowship group for photography, and it's called the International Fellowship of Photography Rotarians. So a lot of events and workshops to happen from that as well. It
Okay,
was really nice to hear your perspective on photography and the stories that you had to share. Uh,
thank you.
Very nicely weaved, and the lessons that everyone can carry. And this particular series is brought to us by our DG Nagendra Prasad sir, who's our district governor elect.
Okay,
So he himself is a photographer or a photography enthusiast. He used to do photography from a very long time, and he had very nice models. I think he can brief you on his experiences with
of
photography.
course, of course.
Oh, no, no. No, no, I'm not as good as Amit.
No, sir, no, sir. I mean, every
Yeah,
photographer is good in his or own way. So, senior guys like you, I'm sure you'll have a lot of things
yeah.
that people like me don't
Anyhow,
know.
thank you very much for coming today and really
Pleasure.
enlightening all our photographic enthusiasts. No, but because I always feel, photography is an art. It's an art by itself. How
Yes,
you see it, it is what it is. All depends on that particular shot when you shoot anything.
yes,
It all depends on how you see it. Each one of us see in a different way.
correct.
So, and it's an art, I would say, and it, like some of the photographs what you have done here, it's, if you had just seen that, it doesn't make any difference. But
Yeah,
the way you have shot it, and that the way you present it, it makes something different. That is what is required, and I think really have done an excellent thing. And we have one fellowship started now in the Rotary itself for the photography itself, for the golf, for the cricket, everything we have on fellowship group. The one only the Rotarians are there, and probably you are a Rotractor or a Rotarian, anything by chance, I mean?
no, not really,
No,
not
I
really.
think it's high time you have to join now.
Sure,
Krishna, you can't allow him to be there, and you have to bring him to our
sure,
thing
sure.
pool now, so that
Yes.
he can be part of that our photographic fellowship group. So it's
I'll
good.
have an answer.
I think a lot
Sure.
of people will enjoy, and you will also enjoy the fellowship here. And say like Sanjay Krishna, who is a president, and he has also done a lot of photography things and things like this. So really, I think your talk and you explained very uh, what I could say, very simple and like that bird shooting. What has to be done on that particular occasion is, I think, and ultimately patience is what is required here.
Yes.
It is like, many a times patience, you can't lose patience. You have to wait for that particular chance. So that all takes time. And usually I was very fond of this nature. So I have a lot of photographs. Even whenever I went abroad, I have shot lot of thing which is there. So I just wanted to ask you now. You were saying that you have put up a lot of photographs on the, I think, website, and so I think that's what I was thinking. Well, just let me take out all my photographs and start putting up on that
You
particular
should,
thing.
sir.
Maybe somebody can take it, when they want it for something.
Yes.
It makes sense. That is what I was thinking about it. I think that I'll thank Krishna Arjun, also our rotractor, who has been bringing in good speakers on particular subjects. I thank you very much, and I thank you for your time. And I hope all our Rotarians and friends have enjoyed. And maybe in the future we'll have more of your
Sure, sir.
thing,
Sure.
physically, once all this COVID-19 completely comes under control. I think let's have one more on a physical platform, and I think a lot of youths are also there, so that they'll all be interested, and they can take this as a hobby. This is a very good hobby, and those days when we were doing it was very expensive,
Yes.
because we had to take out the films, we had to process it, and so many things to do. Now digital photography, it's not expensive, and no more it's expensive. And also what I feel, the cost of the cameras now, the lenses, it's not as expensive as those days, to buy a camera. It was, and we didn't have choices also. We had very few what was available in the market, only it was without billing and things like this.
Yeah.
Some guys used to bring it and sell it, travel agents and all that. We had to buy them. That Ashika 35, that was the famous camera, which, and we never had SLRs and all in the initial stages. And then the SLR started coming. And now with the introduction of this digital camera, digital now, it's become it's very nominal now, and even people can shoot in a good, Nikon. I mean, I'm talking about Samsung phones, Samsung
Yeah,
type.
yeah. Correct, correct.
Really, you can, because I recently, when I went to US Jan, I bought one there, and the whole thing I shot, and the pictures, the quality of the pictures when compared to the other cameras, it's far superior.
Yes.
And now things have become made easier, but only thing is it needs what to use at what place is what you are talking.
The
Gadget
care.
is what you need to know how to use it at what place. That is why I said, only it all depends on how you view it. So each one of us view in a different way. If you view it in a different way, the same thing what you have shot we would have seen 100 times, but that we wouldn't have thought of that. Now what you have shot, it looks little different. That is what is required. A real photographer, the angle, that angle and the eyesight is like an eagle eye. What we say, that is what is required. So thank you, and some of your photographs are really excellent. And
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
sure in future we'll keep meeting and we'll exchange our ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Krishnajan. Thanks,
thank
everyone on
you.
the call.
Thanks,
Thank
Amit.
you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you,
All right.
everyone, for joining, and hope we all understood not just about taking the picture, but also about the making of the picture. So, thank you, everyone, and see you soon.